Hi, I'm Lou with another episode of My Car Story. And not just any episode, this episode is the 10-year anniversary since I started doing My Car Story with Lou. So the first thing I want to do is thank you who've come along on the ride with me. We've seen cars from all over the United States, met great caretakers, and any car that's on the channel, well, it's a good one. But I've come up with the idea along with my son, who's my editor, and he said, you know what, we should do a top 10 American cars, Lou's favorite cars over the last 10 years. So here is that video. These might not be the top 10 cars of all time, but they're the ones that I'd pick if I had to pick 10. So let's start off with number 10. At number 10, the 1957 Cadillac Eldorado. And I think you'll like this one. The reason why I love this car, well, as you can see, it's absolutely fantastic. This car, without exaggeration, if there's a car that if you pulled up in that makes you feel like you've arrived, well, this is it. I love this single headlight. I love the little baby tail fins and the little baby tail lights, but the car is just absolutely spectacular. At number 9. The 1957 Chevrolet. Hardtop or convertible, either one's good for me. And I just think that when you think of the 1950s, you think of this iconic design. If there was one car in the 1950s and you were explaining to somebody who never saw cars before and you had to say what car would look like the 1950s cars, it would be the 57 Chevy. A beautiful car from front to back, I think perfectly styled, and it's one of my favorites from that time frame. At number 8, one of my favorite cars is the 1957 Thunderbird. Now you're thinking, Thunderbird, Chevy, how did you pick 8 over 9? Very tough to choose. But I will say, when I was riding and driving in a 1957 Thunderbird when I was in college, and because you're sitting down a little lower and you're a little higher in the seat, it seems like that car, you are an instant celebrity. It had all the class and style that you need. And as you can see, just beautifully designed. The 56, the tire on the back, I thought that they could improve that. And the 57 was all that. And the 55 is a great one too. The 4-seat Thunderbirds are great, but I like the 2-seaters the best. At number 7. Now this is probably a car, unless you've watched the channel, that you haven't heard of before. The Gaylord Gladiator. This car I had to chase for about 2 years to finally get the caretaker and I at the same spot at the same time. And I got the chance to finally feature this car. This car has grace, style, design, great acceleration, just an overall unbelievable car. Well, you can see, it's just absolutely amazing. At number 6, my first muscle car, the 1969 or 1970 Boss 429. Well, this Mustang has the beautiful back end, absolutely spectacular, as well as the overall style. This car looks like it's moving, just standing still. Take a look at this one, and you can see some of these highlights on why this one's, well, one of my favorites. At number 5, another muscle car, the 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge. The convertible, the hardtop, either one's great. I just thought that the way they designed this car, and here comes the Judge from the Laugh-In Show, was just a great car. And Pontiac just seemed to be so well styled and so well designed that it seemed like a sports car and a muscle car and a very classy muscle car. So it gave you a great feel, and the sound from it is just fantastic. Enjoy this car, and I hope you could see why I enjoy that one. At number 4. 2 body styles that are very close to each other, but if I had to pick one, well, it's either the 1970 Plymouth Superbird or the 1969 Dodge Charger. I picked the Daytona Charger. I like the taillights a bit more, and I like the smooth roof rather than the vinyl top of the Superbird. Now, they are both fantastic. People either love that car or they hate the car. I'm in the first camp. I absolutely love the car. Why do I love the car? Well, I think even a muscle car needs a hero, and that car is that car. So if it's got the 426 and the 4-speed, well, now it's at the top of the chain. To have a car with a massive wing on it like that and a pointed nose inspired by NASCAR, it was just unbelievable. And the fact that they put that on the street, I love when companies do something that just makes you blow your mind. This is a blow your mind car. That's why it's number 4. At number 3, this car is a maker and a model. The maker is Dodge, the model is Viper. I loved every Viper from the first one I saw at the auto show in 1992. From the moment I saw that car, I said, I'm going to have one of those one day. And I love every version of the car all the way through. So if you look at the end of this video, 20 years after I saw that car, I actually received a Viper of my own. I purchased that. So if you look at the end of the video, you'll see my Viper going off into the cornfields, but all of the Vipers from 92 all the way to 2017, why that car, why so passionate? It's the modern day Cobra. Shelby was also involved in it. It made perfect sense to be the car that I absolutely adored. The fact that they had a V10 engine and a little body was just glorious for me. It just said nothing, but there was no logical reason for the car, just the passionate reason. And that's why I love that car so much. And it can hurt you, so you have to respect it. At number 2, the 1966 GT40. I love that car's design. It was a little too tight in the body if you've ever sat in one. The newer Ford GT, I like the look of it. It still has that flavor. I think it's really super cool, but it didn't have that V8. It just had the V6, and I know that that's not a big deal, and I know that they have one with the V6, but I wish they would have put a V8 in there. So the one that I like the most is the 2005-2006 Ford GT. That's my second favorite car of all time. The design is unbelievable, super sexy, and the car is super fast, and it's comfortable, and it's drivable. All those reasons why it's my number 2 car of all time. So what's number 1? Well, as a young boy, all the passion started because when Batman and Robin came down the poles and I saw that Batcave for the first time and they jumped in that car with flame coming out the back of it, oh my God. I knew I could be a hero as a young man. So that's where that car was the all-time favorite. The Batmobile. The 1966 Batmobile was my favorite car of all time. You can see the crazy fins on the back, all of the exciting gadgets that make the car a superhero, and that's why it's been my favorite car. Take a look and you'll see. Well, we've come to the end of the 10 years episode, and I just want to say again, thank you so much for the people who supported me and said such nice things, and I really appreciate you. So thanks, and I'm glad you're along for the ride.